The Cyclone Intel Escort was released on July 27, 2023 as part of the Starfleet Flashback Bundle for 12,500 Zen. Or you can purchase the ship on its own for 3,000 Zen. The Cyclone is the 6th version of one of my favorite ships in the game, the Patrol Escort. The ship's stats are as follows. The starting hull at level 65 is 45,000, hull modifier of 1, shield modifier of 0.87, turn rate of 17, impulse modifier of 0.23, inertia rating of 80, and a plus 15 bonus to weapons and plus 5 to engine power. The Cyclone also comes with the Intel Active Sensor Array and a battle cloak. The Admiralty ship stats are 15 engineering, 55 tactical, 38 science, and plus 25 tactical when alone. The bridge officer seating starts with a commander tactical/intel officer, a lieutenant commander science, a lieutenant commander universal, lieutenant engineer/intel, and an ensign science officer. The Cyclone has 5 tactical, 1 engineering, 4 science consoles, and 2 device slots. The Cyclone has a 5 forward-facing and 2 aft-facing weapon configuration. The Cyclone, like all other escorts, can equip dual cannons, including dual heavy cannons. The Cyclone comes with an experimental weapon, the Goal-type psionic resonator. The Goal psionic resonator is derived from the ancient Vulcan weapon from the 2-part episode Gambit from Season 7 Star Trek, The Next Generation. The Goal does psionic and heavy flanking damage in a 250-degree targeting arc. The exact damage will be different depending on several factors, and will do additional psionic damage for flanking attacks. The Goal does come with critical damage times 3 proc and has a 60% critical severity. There is a 4-second recharge between each time the weapon is fired. The Cyclone comes with the Universal Console Sensor Phantom Projector. The passive abilities that the console gives is a plus 26.6% bonus to directed energy damage when attacking an enemy's rear arc, or plus 153.9% bonus directed energy damage when attacking an enemy's rear arc when the console is active. It also gives you a plus 8% critical severity. When the console is active, it creates a taunting decoy of your ship in a 180-degree arc. When it creates a sensor phantom decoy, it does so behind the target and taunts them, forcing the target to turn and attack the decoy. There is the standard 2-minute recharge. The Starship Mastery at level 1 is precise weapon systems, giving it a plus 5 to accuracy rating. At level 2 is tactical maneuvering that gives plus 5% to defense. Level 3 is enhanced weapon systems giving plus 10% to kinetic and all energy damage. At level 4, you get devastating weaponry, which gives you plus 2.5% critical chance. Finally, at level 5, you get the Starship Mastery trait of Adaptive Tactical Algorithms. Now forgive me, as this will be a bunch of techno-babble with this trait. When this trait is slotted, using specialized abilities triggers more abilities, but only for the first time in a map or further abilities of that same specializations grant to self for 7 seconds. If you activate a command ability, you get plus 40% increased damage and plus 20% hull capacity. For intelligence ability, you get plus 20% increased damage and plus 60% bonus flanking damage. For temporal, you get plus 20% increased damage and plus 50 starship exotic particle damage. For miracle worker ability, you get plus 20% increased damage and minus 35% weapon cost. And finally, for pilot ability, you get plus 40% increased damage and plus 5 current and stacking max engine power. My thoughts on the Cyclone are mixed. I am happy that there is a 6th version of the Patrol Escort. But there are a lot of changes that have been made to this version of the Patrol Escort that conflict me. For starters, the Patrol Escort was one of a few escort-type ships that had a 4-4 and 4 aft split on the weapons. So with the 5-2 split, you have lost one weapon slot. Another change they made was the removal of the tailgun. While I was a bit hesitant about the tailgun at first and gave some options that I would have hoped to have made it into this 6th version, it was completely removed. Another strange decision was the universal console. I'm not sure why this ship's version of the console is something that you might see on a science vessel, instead of something that would be towards DPS for this class of ship. The other thing is that there is no 2-piece set bonus with the T5 versions. It almost seems like they don't want us to remember that there was a T5 version of this ship. Speaking of the console, the passive ability to only be used while only flanking is a bit odd, but I guess with a bunch of DPS pie eaters, the developers are trying to change things up. I think the other passive part when the console is activated seems to be that there might be some changes to game mechanics in the near future. The other thing I have to wonder about is when you are kit bashing the ship. Some parts seem to clip through other parts, which make me wonder if the quality and assurance team actually tested these things out. If not, they really should. It's not the first time that there has been issues like these with other ships. The ship trait is another odd decision that was made. I'm not sure how I feel about some of these new traits, but again, judging from some of these newer ships, it seems like game mechanics will be changing somewhere down the line. I'm not really a fan of the experimental weapon, as I'm not sure how psionic can damage a starship. The Vulcan device affected people, and it was an instant kill if people had violent thoughts. This weapon seems like they put up Star Trek references on the wall and threw darts at the wall while blindfolded and saw what stuck. An interesting thing that I also noticed was that if you were to look at a side-by-side look of the T5 version to the 6, you'll notice that the T5 favors engineering, whereas the 6 favors science. While it's not usually a big deal for the traditional tactical DPS eater, it would be an interesting change to have a science career officer to dual energy weapon and exotic particle generator type build. Things that I love about the Cyclone. The battle cloak is a really nice change for this ship. It may be why the Cyclone didn't have the tailgun fused to it. The bridge officer seating seems pretty decent for a surgical strike build. Even though the issue with clipping when kit bashing, I really enjoy the ship design. Overall, despite all the odd decisions that the developer made with this ship, I actually love flying it. It's currently my main ship on my main tactical career officer, and now this is the part where I now advocate for a legendary version. That is going to be it for this video today. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the Cyclone Intel Escort. I'd like to give you a huge thank you for taking time out of your day to watch my video on the Cyclone Intel Escort and having your support for the channel. Thank you for watching. Live long and prosper. This is Phoenix from Starfleet Command, signing off.